Hello, everybody. This is Mike from Nymphs, Knots, and Nonsense, and today I want to talk you through tying the brown Perdigon. Simple fly. I love simple flies like this because they're guide flies. You can crank out billions of them, share them with your friends. You lose some, you're not crying on the bank. Originally, the Perdigon was designed to be a fly that sinks very, very quickly. And it has a lot of features that allow it to do that. One of those is the big bead. So you use a little bit oversized bead. In this case, I use a 1/8 inch bead. It has a body that's skinny and is coated with UV resin. So it's very, very, very hydrodynamic. It sinks through the water very quickly. It has a minimal tail. And this one I tie on a jig hook so that the point of the hook rides up and it keeps it from getting tangled. Now, I went to the Rapid River in Maine, fished there for a week. A lot of fish that I caught were either on a brown Perdigon or a black Perdigon. Same thing, just use black thread. And I caught a lot of fish. I switched over from using an indicator to doing Euro nymphing. I've got a video on my leader setup. I just looped a Euro nymphing line on the end of my regular fly line, and I fished with that for a couple of days and did phenomenally well. Caught a lot of Atlantic salmon, caught a lot of fall fish, caught a lot of smallmouth bass. Now, materials for this fly, fairly simple. You need a hook, obviously. This is an Umpqua X Series X210BL. So barbless in a Perda jig. So it has a nice little shape to the end of that hook, or the point of the hook. It's a jig hook and it's a heavier hook. And these are in black nickel. You need a bead. I use a slotted tungsten bead. It is 1/8 inch black nickel, which is, I believe, 3 or 3.2 millimeters in size. You need some coq de leon or Leon's chicken. You look at this. This is a speckled coq de leon, obviously from hairline. And I just like the colors in that speckle. It makes a tail that has a little bit more extra movement underwater. You need some silver wire. I use ultra wire in extra small in silver. Hey, this is almost as fine as the tying thread that I use. It's really, really incredibly small. And you can actually see the wraps there on the fly. You need a regular thread. I have a UTC Ultra thread in 70 denier in a nice medium brown. I've also tied these with black. And for the hot spot, you need a fluorescent orange. This is UTC. You see it's Ultra Thread Fluorescent Fire Orange in 70 denier. You'll need some weight, so I actually add extra weight to this. This is lead-free soft weight. There's a little back right here, or a shell back. And for that, I use the Solarez UV Cure Color Resin in black. And the last thing that I use is my trusty Loon Fluorescing UV Clear Fly Finish. It glows when you hit it with UV, which I think adds a bite trigger to the finished fly, and sometimes fish can see it. To start this fly, what we're going to do is take our lead-free weight here, and you'll see I've got a slotted bead in here, and I put the slotted bead upside down. So normally you have the gap fits on the back like that. But in this case, what we're going to do is flip it around so that the slot points up, because we're going to stuff that with our lead-free wire. So, or lead-free weight. So we're going to take this and just use a fingertip or a fingernail, and we're going to hold it down and then make 1, 2, 3, 4 reps. You don't want too much of this. And then I will use my snippers So these are just little electrical cutters, just little electrical diagonal cutters. And I'll cut that, and then what I do is round up that end with my fingernail. You know, I'm going to be all fingers here. But round that up with my fingernails, and then push it together, push the ends down so that they don't stick up. And I'm going to slide the whole thing forward here and stick it inside of the slot of that bead. If this doesn't fit in here correctly, then maybe you need a little bit smaller diameter of lead-free weight. But you'll see it fits in there, and if I twist it like that, you'll see some of it goes inside and some of it's on the outside. Okay, and that's good. That just adds more weight to the overall fly, because these are supposed to be flies that get down and sink very, 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 very rapidly, very, very quickly. And then I want to start with my brown thread here. So I'm just going to take my brown thread, get that started, circle that up around, and I'm just making a couple wraps in and through the weight just to keep it sort of anchored there. Okay. I'll cut off my tag end as always. Okay. Next thing I want to do is add some of my coq de lion, also known as Leon's chicken. And I'm going to take not a lot of it. You don't need a lot. You'll also see that these feathers here, you see they've got the speckled parts and then they've got the dark part. So what I want to do is strip away the dark parts. Plus it also has that funky mini marabou, and I just want to strip those off. Then I want to take a handful of fibers for the tail. It doesn't have to be a crazy amount. In fact, that's probably too many there. I need something like, 4 or 5 fibers. 4 or 5 fibers for the tail. Okay, so I got those. And I am just going to place those. I want them, halfway or so. The length of the shank, length of the hook shank out the back. I'm just going to tie those in. And make sure those are across the back. Cut off my extra up here. The next thing we want to do is take our wire, so this extra small silver wire, and just crimp the end with a pair of pliers so that it pulls in better and doesn't want to come out once we start wrapping it. We're going to just take that in, lay it over the top, tie it in, and follow that. I give it the little lift. Follow that all the way back. In fact, I'm going to take all of these now and take them all the way back to the bend of the hook. Then I will put thread over the top of everything in order to get back to the front. And I will put some extra over the that weight that I put in, so that I can make a smoother looking taper. You don't want to get it too fat. In fact, this is supposed to be a skinny fly so that it penetrates the water a lot faster. Okay, but I think I'm good there. Looks pretty good. I've got one spot right here that I have to cover up. So I'm just going to try to get some in over the top of that. Try to keep that little, it's just a little wrap of weight that came through. So I'm trying to wrap over the top of him so he doesn't stick out as much. Okay, cool. Ready to do that? I'm going to throw in my patented, not so much half hitch. Swing my bobbin cradle around to the side. Pull up the slack. And I'm going to wrap my ribbing rotary style. And these, you want them spaced out fairly well. So just putting in, and it won't take many wraps to get this thing going. 4 or 5 to get up to the front is totally okay. And then I have a little pocket there, and I'm just going to throw that in there. I'm going to slide that in, slide my bobbin out of the way, and then just pop right over the top. So you see where I have a little divot there, and I just pulled it into that divot and then wrapped over the top of it. So I'm going to go back and give it a couple extra wraps, give it a couple extra wraps in front, a couple wraps in back, and then I am going to helicopter that off. Now I am done with the brown, so what I need to do is take that brown and give it a, I'm just going to give it a half hitch, and then I'm going to whip finish it off. Okay, then my patented finger whip finish, 2, 3, 4, pull that tight, and boom, and done. And let me cut that off. Done with the brown. Okay. Looking like a pretty decent little fly there. Okay. Next thing that I need is my fluorescent orange. And I just want to add a hot spot right behind the bead. So I'm just going to wrap it. And you don't need much of a hot spot. All right, you'll see how much thickness I put in there. I put maybe 10 wraps. I want to cut off my tag end here. Give it a couple more, or tie down that end. I'm going to half hitch it. And give it a whip finish. 3 and 4. All right. Getting pretty good. Cut off that tag end right there. Okay. Next thing that I'm going to use is my fluorescing UV fly finish from Loon. And that one, I just go and use the nozzle, and I get a little out, and then I just work it. I just work it back and forth. Okay. There is, you'll see it right here, there's a hole right there in the bead. So I'll drop a little bit in there. Okay. Just to close that off. And I'll let it sit upside down like this. So just rotate it, let it linger a little bit upside down. So that way that resin stays on the outside. And then I will hit it with the UV torch. Really glows. Looks nice. You'll also see some of it went through when I added it to the slotted bead right here. Some of it came through, so I've got a little bit of a head here, so I'll have to clean that up here in a second. I just give it a little rotation as I cure it. That fluorescent orange looks pretty awesome on this video. Okay. Pull that out, and you'll actually see the slot here now is resined over the top, but it went through, so all I do is I just take my bodkin and poke it through the eye of the hook, slide it from side to side like that, clean it up, and poke it through from the back side. No joke intended there. Okay, and now I have a clean eye. Last step that I want to do is take my UV Cure Solar Res. It's black, and it comes like a fingernail polish little brush inside. I just want to take a little drop of that and add it right there over the bead and over that hot spot. Make a little wing case, and before it runs, I will give it a hit with the UV torch. Don't smell this because it smells really bad, and I'm sure it's not really safe to breathe. Anyway, get that, make it harden up, and that is a brown Perdigon. As always, if you like this video, give it a like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, all of that stuff. And I will see you in the next video.